Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is, of course, Tuesday, July the 8th, 2025. I hope everybody's having a good week thus far. Of course, I'm going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Friendly reminder to everybody, of course, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Let me take care of something real quick here, then I'll be right back. Back here. All right, I'm back. Let's see now. So as I said, we're just gonna wait a few minutes to let people come in. So did finish off, watching some of the 1938 cartoons that came out in 1938 in September of that year, including seeing scrap, of course, a Scrappy cartoon and a Sparky cartoon from Charles Mintz production, Screen Gems, Columbia, among other things. Let's see now. Oh yeah, I'm making my way through a lot of the cartoons and stuff like that. Let's see, 2:48. So we're coming up on 3 minutes here. So I guess I'll talk now about what we're gonna go over tonight. We got like three articles we're gonna go over from Bounding into Comics. They're all kind of animation related topics. Among them include, I guess, some news on the live action adaptation of Kakegurui, which is an anime about, which was a manga anime about betting, about gambling. Basically, where a bunch of rich kids, to kind of further their power within a particular school, have to be good at gambling. The power structure is based on how good you are at games of chance. Let's see. We also got stories coming out in regards to Mobile Suit Gundam, Mobile Gundam G Cooks, Mobile Gundam G Cooks, from director stands behind the Evangelion style mech designs, and then we have another situation as well. So you might remember a few months, after Kevin Conroy's passing, Mark Hamill had come out and basically said he was no longer interested in doing the Joker role, the role he had done for the DCAU product, essentially since DCAU started back in 1992. And now it would appear that Will Friedle, who, of course, is the voice of Terry McGinnis in Batman Beyond, has now also stated that he's not interested in continuing his role as the Neo Gotham Batman, without Kevin Conroy there. So we're gonna be looking at all that stuff. Of course, we'll also be, with the wrestling wrap up, we'll be getting caught up on. And it happened on last night's Go Home Raw before heading into this weekend's pay-per-views. Looking ahead to tonight's NXT. We'll also be looking ahead to what's going to be going on this weekend for the WWE, most notably, the NXT Great American Bash. Saturday night's main event, and then the Evolution pay-per-view, which a lot of people have been very critical of the build, and we'll talk a little bit about that too, about the counter programming they're doing against AEW, because that's been kind of a big story going around as well. And then then we'll also, of course, wrap things up with This Day in Each History. So with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and let's get ready to get started here on let me just pull up the articles here. Get right into these articles. And again, a friendly reminder to you guys, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with all that being said, now let's go ahead and get started here. So the first article we're going to be looking at is this one. Oh, here we go. Netflix renews Kakegurui adaptation Bet. Despite low ratings, showrunner admits changing source material because he saw, quote, no point in trying to reproduce the original. Yeah, that's a problem that's the problem that the West has been finding, that every time they try to quote unquote make anime better, it usually flop like a pig diving into its trough. Anyway, so article by Nerdigans Inc. published yesterday, July 7th, 2025. So let's get into this then. So even though all of the odds suggested that the winning move was not to play, Netflix has doubled down on their latest butchering of a Japanese work and officially renewed their live-action adaptation of Homura Kawamoto and Toru Naomura's Kakegurui compulsive gambler manga Bet for a second season. The streaming platform's decision to ante up on Bet was first confirmed on June 24th, a little over a month after the May 15th premiere of its 10-episode first season. Now, again, remind you guys one more time of what Kakegurui is. It was a manga and anime, basically following a particular female student at a basically a rich school, basically a kind of a private academy, in which your social status was determined essentially by, all these kids came from rich families, mind you. They came from wealthy families, power brokers, that kind of thing. Your social status at the school was dependent on how good you were at gambling. That's what Yumeko was the name of the main character in the manga. So hey, Metal. Mobile Suit Batman just sounds like an alternative title for Big O. Yeah, well, Metal, I try to come up with as creative what I wasn't even thinking Big O. I was just thinking of trying to see how I could put all I was just trying to figure out a way to cleverly put the subjects I was going to be covering into the headline there. Sometimes I come up with just more straightforward headlines. Other times I like betting on a Mobile Suit Batman. Because of the articles I go over. So you know, interesting though. Interesting quote there though. So, anyways, let's getting back to the article here. Let me just check something here real quick. Even though I should probably be careful not to do this too much because it's going to be too distracting if I do. But anyways. All right, so getting back, of course, to the article here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. In a video message uploaded to Netflix's various social media accounts, Yumiko actress Miku Martino broke the news by revealing a Two of Hearts card before subsequently declaring, quote, "You see that? Bet is officially getting renewed for season 2, and I bet you are going to love it. I'm so excited. I'll see you there," unquote. All right, bet renewed for season 2. News of the series renewal baffled independent Netflix news website What's on Netflix. The online news outlet compiled bet viewership numbers for its first 2 weeks on the streaming platform and compared them to various Netflix original shows, including the recently renewed Lost adaptation of Judy Blume's novel Forever, in parentheses 10.4 million views, as well as the streaming platform's canceled adaptation of the DC comic series Dead Boy Detectives, 7.8 million views, in parentheses there. Based on the numbers, all the odds were against bet favor of receiving a second season. And from what I heard, some at least in the headline here, I guess the director didn't see any point in sticking to the original concept. Now, Metal, if you're still here, if you can answer this for me, one, have you either read the Kakegurui manga or watched the anime? And if you have you watched this or seen anything about this live action adaptation? And if so, what did you think in comparison? Love to get your thoughts on that. As another anime fan, obviously. As noted above, what makes Netflix's continued seat at the bet table so eyebrow-raising is the fact that the first season just did not perform that well with audiences. Now, there's, of course, there's Yumiko and one of the other characters from the... Yumiko and Mary are ready for a game on Toru Naomura's cover to Kakegurui Yorozu 2017. Per an analysis of Netflix's own reported numbers provided by the platform-centric news site What's on Netflix, quote, in the first week, Bet debuted as the 9th biggest show with 2.4 million views, in parentheses here, 13.7 million hours watched globally, in parentheses, which is an incredibly weak debut for the show and instantly makes it a prime candidate for cancellation, unquote. It was still 9th, though it was still at least in the top 10, I guess, but I guess that even on Netflix, that's not quite enough, right? Quote, viewing hours did increase dramatically in week 2, unquote. They added, quote, rising 110% to 28.80 million hours watched and an additional 5 million views, bringing the total after 2 weeks to 7.4 million views. Following up on their original read of the situation via their official Twitter account, What's on Netflix later acknowledged their own bewilderment towards the news, admitting, quote, we've got to take an L on this one, obviously. We lined it up against other shows, and while the show still didn't perform well, it must have been enough to get a renewal, in parentheses, or it had an upfront order of some description, unquote. Which is probably true. I mean, but if they sat there and had set an extremely low bar for renewal too, I mean, then now Interestingly, though, that has faced a constant and particularly strong stream of criticism due to its lack of fealty to Kawamoto and Naomura's original manga. The series renewal announcement also saw showrunner and director Simon Barry reveal that he never intended for source material accuracy because, in his opinion, the original was already bleep near perfect. So if that's the case, why not? If you thought that, then why not reproduce it as it was? Why change it? What? Mr. Barry? What are you? Are you some kind of, I don't know, masochist or something like that? Do you like shooting yourself in the foot? Oh boy. Quote, when the Bet creative team set out to develop a series inspired by Kakegurui, we knew there was no point trying to reproduce the original as it stands on its own and works perfectly, unquote. He told Netflix. Well, if that's the case, why not reproduce? Again, I don't know. The guy's logic seems a little screwy there. I don't know if you guys kind of pick that up or not, but that kind of seems kind of, you have something that works, right? You have something that you admit that it did well. So rather than going with what you know and just reproduce it as is, oh no, we're going to change it because we don't we want to try something different. Don't understand the logic there. Do not understand the logic. Seems screwy to me. Quote, instead, we chose to be directed by the spirit of Kakegurui and habits in tone, audaciousness, and fun, unquote. To that end, we made something, quote unquote, birthed from the source material, inspired a new take, one that pays homage to it and doesn't try to replace it. All right. I mean, I just, again, don't think that's going to work. What we've found is every time Hollywood, we've seen this time and again, where every time the West tries to modify an existing IP, it blows up in their face spectacularly. Unfortunately for Barry, like the majority of Western-produced live-action adaptations of Japanese properties, including, hilariously enough, Netflix's own Death Note film, in parentheses here, when he and his creative team, quote-unquote, burst with Bet, comes off as less of an homage to the source material and more like something that holds complete disdain for everything related to its premise. From various race and gender swaps to the hard westernizing of Japanese names to rewriting the entirety of protagonist Yumiko's motivations. Truly the original. Oh, they did all that? No wonder people are up in arms over that. Let me read that. From various race and gender swaps to the hard westernizing of Japanese names to rewriting the entirety of protagonist Yumiko's motivations. Truly, the only thing that has to do with the original manga is its premise, and even that is barely kept intact. Yeah, no wonder people are up in arms over it. They did not do what they were saying they were doing. They basically decided to re-image it in the way they thought it should have been. It's just that they know if they outright say that, people are gonna be bringing out the pitchforks. You know, a lot of what Barry seems to be saying seems to be code for, well, yeah, we're gonna wokerize it. That's really what we're doing. So, for those who are some curious as to the absolute train wreck that is Bet, its first season is now available for streaming exclusively on Netflix. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, I could see where the criticism is valid here. It's, as they said in the article there, that it's just like what they've done with other Japanese properties. They just basically bastardized it. They thought they knew better than the original creators, tried to do something different with it, and it just backfired royally. So, sorry about that. I kind of goofed there. hit the wrong button, as it were. Oh, anyways, I kind of goofed there. So I was in the wrong section there. So, anyways, I'm back now. So, anyways, let me. Well, I guess now that I'm back, I can go ahead and share the screen I just had up and then go. I just kind of forgot where I was for a moment. All right, so now let's do this. I was intending to hit the back button before. So now let's get to the second article of the evening here, which is this Mobile Suit Gundam article. And again, a friendly reminder to everybody, of course, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking, sharing, liking and sharing the stream. See if we get some more friendly people to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I will try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With that being said, let's move on to this next article here. Oops, what did I do now? Alrighty then. Mobile Suit Gundam G. Cook's director stands behind Evangelion style mech designs. Quote, difference can be a feature, and I like the result. Unquote. Article by Spencer McCauley published today. So let's see what they have to say here about this. All right. So while many fans found themselves unsure about the radically different appearances of its titular mech units, Mobile Suit Gundam G-Cook's director Kazuya Surumaki says that they're almost Neon Genesis Evangelion-esque designs were not only intentional, but also meant to take advantage of the anime medium's creative potential. And you see chart there, the latest, I guess, updated artwork for the latest version of Char Aznavour right there. Tsurumaki, whose past directorial credits include the original Neon Genesis Evangelion, Fooly Cooly, and the 4 recent rebuild of Evangelion films, offered his thoughts on the rocky reception given to Mobile Suit Gundam G-Cook's suits by a not so insignificant portion of the series fan base during a recent post-finale interview given to Noisy Pixel's Azario Lopez at the recent 2025 Anime Expo convention. At the top of their time together, the man widely considered to be the protege of Neon Genesis Evangelion creator Hideaki Anno. Let's see. Was asked about his approach depicting the Cold War style tensions of Jikook's narrative, to which he explained that the key factor in doing so was the consistent focus on the everyday life of citizens aboard the Azuma space colony. But Gundam's designs were so much better than Evangelion's. Hi, everybody. Hey, Fitzjozo. Thanks for popping in. Like, I get why the audience complained if the designs were moved into into that direction. All right, so quote, in the original Gundam, the war never stops, and when the camera stays on the battlefield, it leaves no room for everyday life, unquote, said Kuromaki. Well, let's see. I don't know if I completely agree with that because I have seen some aspects of it. I've seen I've seen most of the Gundam series. I'm actually currently watching Zeta Gundam again. So I think you do see elements in there, No, I don't know if I completely agree with that statement, but let's see. Quote, by framing G. Cooks as a Cold War inside a space colony, we could show city streets, traffic, even the canals that run through the habitat. Hmm. Those civilian details make the standoff feel real. I wanted to focus on daily life under pressure, not on military hardware, and that perspective is still unusual for Gundam. Yeah, actually, I think I was thinking more Maycross. I was thinking of that because of what they were talking about here. I'm also watching Super Dimensional Force Maycross, or just I actually just completed the ADV dub, watching the ADV dub last night. So, hmm. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Jojo says, never really found mecha cool. I find smaller power armor and fully full robots cool. Gundam 00 had a lot of side characters that were living mostly normal lives and got caught up in the mix. Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, as I said, I didn't, I've seen, yeah, I probably saw that too. I think I saw a number of Gundams where you actually did see that. So his statement there, I don't think really holds water, as it were. But, anyways, getting back to the article here, let's see. From there, the longtime Studio Kara team member was pressed as to whether or not he expected the series' mobile suit designs to receive such a negative reaction, and if so, if it influenced his choices. Quote, at first, a few people, including staff, worried that the look was too different, unquote, recalled Tsurumaki. Quote, personally, I see the variety as anime strength. Animation lets you bend style without losing the core of the work. And no one has ever told me they quit the show because the faces or suits were unique to the series. Difference can be a feature, and I like the result. Unquote. Yeah, well, staff is one. Staff and members of members of the staff is one thing. Your fans are another. If the fans don't like what you're doing, then you're shooting yourself in the foot. Anyways, in parentheses here, as an aside, should anyone be wondering, while there exists no direct confirmation that G Cooks' mobile suits were directly inspired by Neon Genesis and Evangelion, said designs were provided by the latter franchise's longtime mechanical illustrator, Ikuto Yamashita. Unparenthesed. Wrapping up the discussion regarding G. Cooks' visual production, Lopez ultimately inquired as to how his guests balanced the excitement of the series' novel clan battles, in parentheses, with character growth and narrative weight, unquote. In turn, Tsurumaki asserted, quote, mobile suit duels are Gundam's bread and butter, but after decades it's hard to show anything new. We limited fights to 2-on-2 matches, the constant forces, unique tactics, and pacing. We also treated each bout like an esports stream, um, where characters like Chalia Bull narrate the moves in real time. So viewers get the thrill any analysis without pausing the story. It it almost sounds like G Cooks sounds a little bit more like Gundam, the Gundam Builders portion of the series than like the original Gundam or Gundam Zeta or anything like that. Um, sounds like more like one of the Gundam series where they're not actual robots fighting in space, and more like the kits. Um, Gundam has novels like Star Trek. Well, I don't. They might have what they call light novels. Metal might know a little bit more about that than I would. There's but a lot of there are some anime that are developed from what they call light novels. Um, Metal probably can speak to that a little bit more than I can, though he probably knows more about that than I would. Um, all 12 episodes of Mobile Suit Gundam Jikoku's first, in parentheses, and thus far only season are now available to stream exclusively via Amazon Prime. All right, so there we go with that one. There we go with that one now. Okay, let's see. I think Gundam has about as many novels as it has manga, and that's a lot. All right, so there you go. There you go, Pichozo. There's your answer. All right, so now let's get to the third and last article we're going to do this evening. Which is, we kind of delved more into the anime side of things. Now we're looking back to some animation. Particularly those who grew up, of course, in the 90s and 2000s. This story might be of more of interest to you. Let's get to this here. Batman Beyond lead not interested in returning to Neo Gotham without Kevin Conroy. Quote, being Terry and not having him answer as Bruce, I don't think I could do it, unquote. Now, mind you, as I said at the beginning of the stream here, of course, Will Friedle, who made that quote right there, who did provide the voice of Terry McGinnis in Batman Beyond that ran back in, I believe it was 99 to 2001, I believe, and on of course the subsequent appearances on like Justice League Unlimited, all that. He's the second voice actor from the series after Mark Hamill, who's basically said that he was not interested in reprising the role without Kevin Conroy, since Kevin Conroy's passing last year. So, article by Spencer McQuilly, published July 8th. Though DC has yet to announce any such formal plans to do so, Batman Beyond lead voice actor Will Friedle says that any future attempt by Warner Brothers subsidiary to revive the animated series will have to be made without him. That he no longer feels right voicing Terry McGinnis without the late Kevin Conroy providing the voice of Bruce Wayne. The late, great Kevin Conroy. Let's see. Mobile Suit Gundam Universal Century has 52 novels alone, and there are 11 other Gundam continuities aside from that. I mean, wouldn't Terry continue to be Batman after Bruce dies? Well, in canon, yes, but I think in canon that would naturally be the thing, but that is the main continuity though, so it has the most. Huh. All right, so but as to your question there, in canon, yeah, obviously Terry would have, at least in the DCAU continuity, um, um, Terry would have continued as Batman of the future, as it were, as they called it over in Britain. But anyways, getting back to the article here. Friedel, whose extensive voice acting career in the years since his time as Eric Matthews on Boy Meets World, has included roles like Kim Possible's Ron Stoppable, Batman the Brave and the Bold's Blue Beetle, and Safer from Kingdom Hearts 2. Opened up about his decision to hang up the cowl during a recent panel appearance at 2025 Animate Columbus Fan Expo. Now, mind you, what he's basically saying, he's not going to do the role, but if they were to decide to redo, to basically do another series, or do an updated series or whatever, they basically have to get somebody else to voice Terry in that series. Terry Batman in that series. Anyways, asked by a fan, quote, if they did greenlight a Batman Beyond movie, namely a Batman Beyond movie in the Spider-Verse style, would you be willing to hop back into Terry again? In brackets, ostensibly a reference to the rejected pitch for such a project from across the Spider-Verse visual development artist Yuki Demers circulated around social media last year, unbracketed. Now, of course, Batman Beyond did actually have a movie, Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, in which Terry McGinnis actually took on the Joker and was actually able to defeat him. So anyways, the storied voice actor admitted that while he once would have jumped at the chance to revisit Neo Gotham, he no longer felt that enthusiasm following the late Conroy's death in November 2022. Quote, if you asked me that question 3 years ago, in brackets, I would have said, in bracketed, in small quote, oh my God, yes. Get me in front of the microphone right now, unquote. Friedel somberly admitted, quote, now that Kevin's gone, I don't know if I could do it. I think they would need to recast both roles because being Terry and not having an answer as Bruce, I don't think I could do it. Having him answer as Bruce, I don't think I could do it, unquote. Now, as I said earlier, of course, Will Friedel's the second actor from that series to basically acknowledge he has no interest in reprising the role without Kevin Conroy, as Mark Hamill, who voiced the Joker in that series, also essentially did the same thing. He basically said he had no interest in reprising the Joker's role without Kevin Conroy as Batman, as Bruce. And that scene, of course, is from Terry McGinnis's last appearance in the DCAU universe in the episode Epilogue. Notably and understandably, Friedel is not the only member of the DC animated series cast to essentially retire from their role in the wake of Conway's passing. And this, I think they're going to get to what I've been talking about, too. What I'm speaking on the topic during a 2023 interview with Empire Magazine, Mark Hamill admitted that without Conroy to serve as his Dark Knight, he no longer had any interest in bringing his signature brand of laughter back to the role of the Joker. Quote, they would call and say, in small quote, they want you to do the Joker, in small quote, and my only question was, in small quote, is Kevin Batman, unquote, he told the magazine. Quote, if they said yes, I would say, in small quote, I'm in. We were like partners. We were like Laurel and Hardy. Without Kevin there doesn't seem to be a Batman for me. Of course, here's a scene from the One Last Time in Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 3, 2024. So, Will Friedle was always one of my favorites when I was growing up. Yeah. Actually, if I remember correctly, too, I think he also did. I'm not sure, but I think he might have did. Yeah, I think he did Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner in at least one of the episodes, one or two of the episodes of Justice League Unlimited as well. So, I recall. So, as noted above, there currently exists no publicly announced plans of any sort of Batman Beyond revival. And in particularly interesting aside with Friedel's de facto retirement from the Cal, the Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths trilogy now stands as the final performance of both him and Conroy in their DCAU roles. Batgirl, who was voiced this time by Gideon Adlon and Terry McGinnis, unleashed a barrage of batarangs upon horde of shadow creatures in Justice League Rise Infinite Earths Part 1. All right, so there we go with that one. So that's all the articles we're going to go over tonight. Hopefully you guys look like we did have quite a bit of a nice set of conversation there on it. So what we're going to do now, of course, we're going to move on to going to go ahead and move on to the wrestling wrap-up, as we should do that pretty quickly here. As we're just going over WWE stuff tonight, because last night, Monday Night Raw, looking ahead to tonight's NXT, and looking ahead to this weekend's events that WWE will be doing. So let me just go see that, and then I will. So, of course, on last night's Monday Night Raw, basically the go-home Raw before this weekend's big events of like Saturday night's main event and Saturday night's main event, as well as, of course, NXT's Great American Bash and the Evolution pay-per-view on Sunday. The opening match saw Kairi Sane defeat Roxanne Perez in a one-on-one battle After the match, Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez, who was in the corner, Roxanne Perez has been basically trying to, is now part of the Judgment Day. Has been trying to ingratiate herself to them for, basically has essentially replaced Liv Morgan as one half of the women's tag team champions. They decided after the match to attack Kairi Sane, only for her former Kabuki Warriors partner, Asuka, to come in and save her. As I believe, and we'll look into that in a moment here, but I believe that these, of course, Raquel and Roxanne here will be defending the women's championships, I believe, at Evolution against 3 other teams. 2 of those teams, one being Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, who won the number 1 contendership match on SmackDown this past Friday, and then the Kabuki Warriors. So I'll get into all that, though, get there. Braun Breaker defeated Sami Zayn in a match that was set up, I guess, to take Zayn off television for a while. As he, as before the match, he was attacked by Karrion Kross, who was seeking revenge for his loss at Night of Champions. Attacked Zayn with a pipe, busted more of his ribs, and then Braun Breaker during their match hit 3 spears on Zayn. So, and then in the next match, Jey Uso defeated Bronson Reed via DQ after Bronson Reed threw a chair at him and ended up getting tsunami'd, basically the top rope splash that Bronson Reed uses. El Grande Americano, a new person under the mask, believed to be Ludwig Kaiser now, as opposed to Chad Gable, defeated Dragon Lee. And the main event saw Seth Rollins defeat Penta in a one-on-one match. After the match, as Rollins and his crew were getting ready to attack Penta, LA Knight came out to take out Rollins in a prelude to their upcoming match this Saturday on Saturday night's main event. So let's see now. We now will move ahead to looking forward to what's going to be going down on NXT tonight, as they will of course be leading into, or this will be the go home NXT before this Saturday's Great American Bash event. NXT will come to you from the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, on CW. The Booker T, Corey Graves, and Vic Joseph on commentary. Cale Dixon is set to open up with a singles match against a mystery opponent. In a match for the NXT Tag Team titles, Hank and Tank, Tank Ledger and Hank Walker, will be answering the challenge of the Cullings, Sean Spears and Nico Vance, with Izzy Dame in there. And I believe Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley will be that 4th team in that women's tag team match. TNA's Joe Hendry and Mike Santana, 2/3 of the upcoming main event for the Slammiversary pay-per-view, as they both will be challenging NXT and current TNA World Heavyweight Champion Trick Williams. A 3-way match coming up on next Sunday's Slammiversary. They'll be taking on the High Rise, the duo of Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe, with Wesley in their corner. Charlie Dempsey with Ren Sinclair in his corner of No Quarter Catch Crew will be answering the challenge of Tavian Heights. In a gauntlet match, you will see Ricky Saints, the former NXT North American champion, answering the challenge of the Vanity Project of Brad Baylor, Jackson Drake, and Ricky Smokes, with Ethan Page in their corner. So, actually, I did kind of meant, but I think I'll leave it at that because I can always give you the full update of the cards on Friday. But with that, we're now going to go ahead and move on to the This Day in Each History segment. Today is Tuesday, July the 8th, 2025. So we're going to take a look back at this day in each history. So, first off, we're going to head back 70 years ago. And on this date, 70 years ago today, back in 1955, Georgia NWA territory, Georgia Championship Wrestling, held an event at the Atlanta City Auditorium in Atlanta, Georgia, on this date 70 years ago. In which, in the opening match, you saw Tarzan White defeat Eddie Gossett. Eddie Gossett would eventually become Eddie Graham of Florida Championship Wrestling fame. Chet Wallach and Farmer Jones went to a draw. Later on in the evening, Freddie Blassie, better known to most fans as Classy Freddie Blassie of the WWF time, and Eddie Gossett defeated Red McIntyre and Tarzan White in a tag team match. The main event saw Lou Thesz retain the World Heavyweight title over Jerry Graham. Of course, Lou Thesz, during this match, had Ed Lewis in his corner. I believe that was the Strangler, a former NWA champion in his own right. Let's see. Yeah, Ed the Strangler Lewis. In Lou Thesz's corner for that particular match. So 70 years ago today, NWA had its held in the Georgia Championship Wrestling territory had an event that day 70 years ago today. So now let's get ready to move on. So moving on to 1965, I believe. Yep, that's what it is. On this day in the year 1965, I should bring that up here. On this date, 6 years ago today, 1965, the 170th issue of Sad Sack from Harvey Comics went on sale on newsstands on this date back in 1965. It sold for 12 cents for 32 pages. So on this date, 60 years ago today, the 170th issue of Sad Sack went on sale on this date back in 1965. With that, let's get ready to continue on to the next piece in each history. As also on this, so moving ahead to the year 2000, on this date in the year 2000, over in Japan, OLM's Pokemon 3, the movie, premiered on this date back in 2000 in Japan. Pokemon 3, the movie, is a 2000 Japanese anime film directed by Kunihiko Yuyama as the third film in the Pokemon franchise. The film stars the voices of course, these are the Japanese voices of Rika Matsumoto, Ikue Otani, Mayumi Iizuka, Yuji Ueda, Megumi Hayashibara, Shinichiro Miki, Inuko Inoyama, Yumi Toma, Satomi Kurogi, Unsho Ishizuka, Koichi Yamadera, Naoko Takenaka. Basically, in the film, Ash Ketchum and his friends go on a journey to save Molly Hale and Ash's mother, Delia Ketchum, from an illusionary legendary Pokemon named Entei. All right, so 25 years ago today, Pokemon 3, the movie, premiered in Japanese theaters. Let's see. I was just talking about Pokemon 3, the movie, the other day. I saw that in theaters when it came out and had the soundtrack on CD. They gave out trading cards with every ticket. Alrighty then. So, well, all right. So, anyways, moving on to the last piece of niche history. Huh. What was the third one about? Well, okay, the third. Well, I did read that off, but I guess I'll read it off again since you did not catch it. So in the film, Ash Ketchum and his friends go on a journey to save Molly Hale and Ash's mother Delia Ketchum from an illusionary legendary Pokemon named Entei. Entei is that lion-looking Pokemon right there that you see right there. I think he's a fire type as well. Like in Pokemon 3, the legendary Pokemon were all, I believe, all some form of lion, I believe. Entei was a fire type. I think Raikou was a lightning type, and then I don't know what the other name was, but the other name was I don't know. The other one was, I guess, water type. Oh, I remember it now. Saw it on TV once as a kid. It was actually more about the Pokemon Unknown, spell of the unknown, as than what that wiki article describes. They made all of Molly's dreams come to life, including the Entei illusion. Yeah, that's true. And, they also introduced the Pokemon Entei, or not Entei, but the unknown. The unknown. Anyways. Alrighty then. So let me see now. Excuse me a moment before I do the last one here. I do need to go off camera here for a quick moment. I'll be right back, but I'm going to put some music on for the moment. I'm going to take care of something real quick here. All right, sorry about that. Let's see. Guess there was another comment that came up, or another comment or two that came up. Let's see. What other crazy stuff have Unknown done? The other legendary dog you were thinking of is Suicine. Suicine, Entei, Raiko, and Suicine. Yeah. I don't know if they were dogs or lions. I guess, yeah, dog would probably be a more accurate description. Let's see, not really much fizz. That movie was really the extent of Unknown's crazy stuff. They are mostly an ancient mystery otherwise. All right, so now getting to the last piece of niche history here. Moving ahead to the year 2005, which of course was 20 years ago. And on this date, 20 years ago, 2005, Cartoon Network's Camp Lazlo premiered on television on this date back in 2005. The series follows Lazlo, an anthropomorphic spider monkey, who goes to a camp called Camp Kidney, a Boy Scout-like summer camp in the Pimpleback Mountains. Lazlo resides in the quote-unquote jelly bean cabin with his fellow bean scouts, Raj, an Indian elephant, and Clam, a pygmy rhinoceros. All right, so there we go with that one. All right, so with all that being said and done, hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight. Let's see, have a few more, I guess, comments here that we can. Looks like we have a couple of. So let's get these ones in. I remember I watched Camp Lazlo when I was 6. So you were 6 in 2005, huh? That means that you were born in 1999, which would make you 26 now. I remember Camp Lazlo too, which is surprising because it is a very forgettable show. It's been so long, I don't even know what I think of it as an adult. Let's see. Night Action Toys, thanks for popping in. I was 6 in 2002. I was born in 2002. I was 6 in 2008. All right. Well, you were basing it on, so I was thinking you were saying you were 6 when the show came out when you watched it, but if you were 6 when you were watching it and you didn't watch it, okay, so that makes more sense. All right. So that would mean then that you're actually then 23 then. About to 26. Alrighty then. He caught rerun. Yeah, which is possible. I get that. So actually, when the show originally came out, then you were more like 3. But anyways, with that, I thank you all for being here tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hope you found it informative. With all that being said, I will bid you all adieu, and I hope you'll all be back here tomorrow. Bye.